Okay, today's lesson is circumferences and areas of circular shapes from New Century Year 9. Now, before I start, I just want to go through some basics about circle, just the three parts in a circle. With a circle, we have diameter. As you can see, the diameter is the longest line that goes through in a circle. Okay, it's right in the middle and it's the longest. And half of that diameter is called radius. Okay, it's a half. So what does that mean? 2 of this radius, 2 together, radii, equal to 1 diameter. And radius equals half of diameter. Now, all around a circle, like distance, all around a circle, it's called circumference. It's like a perimeter of a shape, but the circle has a special name for it. It's exactly the same as what we've been doing with the perimeter, but with a circle, we call it circumference. The circumference of a circle is found by multiplying its diameter by a special number called pi. And it represents by the Greek letter pi. Now, anything to do with a circle, you need to use this special number, pi. Okay? And the area of circle is found by multiplying pi by the radius squared. Now, what's that all that means? We're going to have a look at it in here. Now, you probably need a calculator from here on. So, circumference, which is perimeter of a circle, you can use 2 formulas to find the circumference. One is a C, stands for circumference. C equals pi times diameter, which is D stands for diameter, and simplifies with C equals pi D. Okay? Now, pi is the special number, D is a diameter. Or what we can do is 2 times pi times radius. So its radius is r, and it's 2 pi r. Now, why do you think they are the same? So let's have a look. Circumference equals pi d, or you can do 2 pi r. Now, d is diameter. Diameter is a double of the radius, isn't it? And we can write it as a 2r because it's a double. That's why instead of a d here, we can write a 2r here. So that's the same thing. So d is really 2r. That's why we can use pi d or 2 pi r. Now, with a calculator, you have to use a special button to get to pi. So you will use a shift, and you will see this little pi on the yellow color above the times 10 to the power of x on the bottom where the 0 is. When you press that, you will get pi, and then if you press equal, it will get a value of pi, which is 3.1415. It goes forever. Okay, so pretty much it's well known as pi equals, you probably heard of it, 3.14. That's all we're going to use. The area of a circle is capital A stands for area, equals pi times radius squared, and simplifies as A equals pi r squared. Now just remember, because it's area, how are we going to remember? Square. Square is area. Okay. Also, when we write a square with the area units, don't we? Centimeters squared or meters squared or millimeters squared. So maybe it's easier way to remembering this area formula is something to do with the square. So pi r squared, and the c equals 2 pi r or pi d. That is a circumference, which is a distance around the circle. This question has 3 parts, A, B, C. First part in a minute, but before I start, let's have a look at the actual question. For each circle, calculate correct to 2 decimal places. So make sure you answer it in 2 decimal places here. And we've got to find the 2 things for each circle here. One is a circumference, and second one is its area. So you have to find circumference for part A and the area for part A. And also part B, circumference and area. And circumference and area. Okay, so that will be what we are looking for. So 2 things per part. Okay, we have a circle and it has 20 meters. What is it? Is it diameter or radius? Now, make sure you distinguish which one is the measurement that is given to us. 20, it's this part, the whole thing, the longest line that goes through inside the circle is a diameter. So I'm going to just call this a D, is 20 meters. Okay, that's all I have. And I have to find the circumference. Now, with the circumference, we can use capital C equals pi d, or we can do 2 pi r. Now, since I have diameter d here, I can choose pi d. But if you want to, you can just memorize one formula. Normally, the popular one is 2 pi r. Okay, and then you just go with that formula all the time. You don't have to memorize 2 of them. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 of them at the moment, both of them, and I'm going to pick which one I like to use for each question. But for you, you can choose one and memorize that. So I'll show you, if I use the 2 pi r, it'll be the exactly same answer. So I've got diameter as 20, and I need to find the circumference, which is pi times d. And d is 20. Now I'll put all that into my calculator. I will get 62.831853 ... But the answer should be in 2 decimal places. So it's going to be just that. So my answer is 62.83 meters, because it's just the distance. Okay, so that's my answer. Now, if I use a 2 pi r, it'll be the exactly same. So I'm going to just show you. We need to know what r is though. Okay, radius is a half of diameter, so I need to halve my diameter. Half of 20 is 10, so I need to use 2 times pi times 10. Okay, can you see that 2 times 10 is 20? It's exactly the same here. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it. But if you prefer to memorize 2 pi r, you can still do it. Only thing is you need to find the r instead of a d. Now, when you put it in your calculator, you will get exactly the same value and put it in 2 decimal places. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, put it in your calculator, it'll be like this. So all you have to do, I just did with a pi times d. Pi times 20 equals, that's just what you're going to get, okay, in your calculator. Now, let's find the area. Area, the formula is just 1, okay, it's not 2, 1. Pi r squared. And we know r is half of diameter. Okay, so diameter was 20 and half it is 10 meters. So area equals pi times 10 squared. And put that in a calculator, that you have to use that button that says x squared on the calculator. Okay, so have a look at that. And answer is 314.1592654 ... Now, because it says only up to 2 decimal places, our answer should be 314.16, because the third decimal place is more than 5 or 5. That goes rounded up to the previous number, which 5 becomes 6. Okay, and meters squared, because it's an area and it's 2 decimal places. Okay, and if you put that in your calculator, it'll look like this. Can you see that square button here? I'm going to just point it out. That's when you use for finding an area. Okay, square button. Let's have a look at this circle. This one has radius, not diameter. Radius is 8.5 meters. Okay, diameter is go from one end to the other end. Long line. Okay, going through the center, and center is this one right there. That's the center here. Okay, now let's have a look at the circumference. I have 2 choices, pi d and 2 pi r. Since I have r, I'm going to use 2 times pi times r. So 2 times pi times r is 8.5. Now put that in your calculator, 53.407 075 ... So I want it to be in a 2 decimal places, so 53.41 meters. And the area equals pi r squared. Now, before we do pi r squared, we need to know what r is. R is, it's given here, 8.5 meters. So I'll just go pi times 8.5 squared. You can use it for the calculator, or you could do this way. Pi times 8.5 times 8.5. Now, 8.5 square is really same as 8.5 times 8.5. Okay, so if you can't, some reason you can't find the square button and you're in the exam, don't panic. You can just times itself again. Okay, so when you do that, you will get 226.9800692 ... And therefore, we want it to be in a 2 decimal places. Beautifully done up to here. And meter squared, because it's the area. Ooh, have a look at this one. This one doesn't look like a circle, doesn't it? But it's actually part of circle. It's a semicircle. Okay, it just halved. Now, we can still find the circumference of this half circle. We call it semicircle. And we can also find area of semicircle. So let's have a look. I still need to find radius or diameter. Let's have a look. So diameter is full length all the way through, so which is 36 meters. But if I wanted to use a radius, all I need to do is halve it. Half my diameter, it'll be 18 meters. Okay, so you have options. So circumference was 2 pi r. If I were to use 2 pi r, now this formula, circumference, will give me the full distance of the full circle, wouldn't it? But I don't need a full circle. I need only half, which is just half of it. Okay, half. So I need to half this circumference, don't we? So that was a full circumference, and I need to halve it because I only need half of it. So when you do that, 56.54866 something. Now, we need to be very, very careful here. This is very important one, careful. Now, as I said before, it only gives you whatever the half of the circle curve. It didn't give us what's underneath here. Okay, so this formula just gives you this. Okay, so 2 times pi times r divided by 2. It just gives you the top bit, the curved part. This part, we have to separately add them together. Okay, so that plus 36 will give us the full circumference of this semicircle. Okay, so when you do that, you will get 92.54866 ... and we just want to have in 2 decimal places. So my answer should be 92.55 because the third is 5 or bigger than 5, which is 8. That goes on to round it up to the next. So this will be 92.55 meters. Now be very, very careful about this. You must add this part because the formula just gives you this curved part. Okay, it doesn't give you the straight diameter part. So make sure you add them on to that. Okay, now the area, we don't have to worry about area part because area just use the formula, but you have to halve the area. Okay, so what I'm going to do is area equals pi r squared, and r was 18 meters. So pi times 18 squared, but we got to do divided by 2 because it's only semicircle. Okay, so this is information we had, but make sure you halve it. Okay, so you have to halve it. So when you do that, when you halve it, so it'll be 100.5309649 ... and we want it to be in the 2 decimal places. It'll be 100.53 meter squared. So that's what we're going to have. Okay, so make sure when you have half, you need to halve the formula. And for the area and for circumference, you halve it, but you still have to add the diameter as well. Okay, well, that's all for today's lesson. Well done, people.